All right, let's talk about a philosopher who was so dangerous, so threatening, that his own community literally tried to erase him from history. I mean, just listen to this. Cursed be he by day, and cursed be he by night. This wasn't just some angry letter. This was the official curse, the Hiram, and it was thrown at a 23-year-old kid named Baruch Spinoza back in 1656. It was a total social and spiritual death sentence. No one was allowed to talk to him, read his work, or even get close to him. So you gotta ask, right? What could a person possibly say to deserve that? Well, to figure it out, we have to dig into the ideas he unleashed on the world. Ideas that were revolutionary and, frankly, to a lot of people, absolutely terrifying. So let's set the scene. We're in Amsterdam in the 17th century. And within the Portuguese Jewish community, which was a pretty rare safe harbor back then, there's this brilliant young scholar, Baruch Spinoza. Everyone thinks he's going to be a rabbi, a real star. But here's the thing. Before they officially kicked him out, the community leaders knew something was up. They could see where his thinking was headed, and it scared them. So they offered him a bribe, 1,000 florins, a huge amount of money back then, just to shut up. And he said no. He chose what he saw as the truth over a comfortable, secure life. This wasn't just a disagreement. This was him setting fire to his entire world. Okay, so what was his first big crime? What was so radical? Well, he basically took religion and philosophy and drew a massive line in the sand right between them. And this right here, this really gets to the heart of it. Spinoza said, look, the whole point of theology, of religion, is to get people to obey. It's about faith. But philosophy, that's a different game entirely. Its only goal is truth, using reason and logic. He wasn't just saying they were different, he was saying they had completely different jobs and you shouldn't mix them up. And he didn't just talk about this in the abstract. Oh no, he took his philosopher's toolkit and went to work on the Holy Scriptures themselves. He started treating them like historical documents, not just divine commands you had to accept without question. He'd point out things like, how could Moses have written about his own death? It seems obvious to us now, but back then, this was explosive. He was basically inventing modern biblical criticism right then and there. And this quote, this one is a bombshell. It gets to his most mind-bending idea. For Spinoza, God doesn't show up and break the laws of nature to perform a miracle. Why? Because God is the laws of nature. A miracle, he argued, would actually make you doubt God, because it would mean God was acting against his own nature. It's an incredible thought. God and nature are just two different words for the exact same thing. Okay, so if you're going to rethink God and the entire universe, it makes sense that you'd also have some pretty radical ideas about politics, right? And Spinoza's vision here absolutely helped shape the world we live in today. I mean, look at this quote. The true aim of government is liberty. For him, the whole point is this. If our goal as humans is to live by reason, then the state shouldn't treat us like beasts or puppets. A government's real job is to create a society where people can actually use their minds freely, without fear. You can hear the beginnings of modern democracy, of free speech, of the separation of church and state, all right there. But Spinoza didn't stop with the Bible and politics. He took that same powerful lens of reason and turned it inward on our own minds. He basically created a kind of physics of emotions. He wanted to show us how to achieve personal freedom. And what's wild is that his ideas sound a lot like modern psychology, centuries ahead of its time. It all starts with this idea he called conatus. Think about it like this. You've got a log, just drifting in the ocean, getting tossed around. And then you have a boat with a rudder, actively steering a course. Spinoza believed that everything in existence, from a tiny rock to you and me, has this fundamental drive, this conatus, to keep on being what it is, and to become more powerful. We all have an inner drive to be the boat, not the log. So, based on that, he said our emotions are one of two things. They're either passive, that's when you're just reacting to stuff happening to you. You get angry, you get jealous, you're that log being tossed around by the waves. You're a slave to circumstance. Or your emotions can be active. That's when you're acting from a place of real understanding. You are the cause of your own actions. And for Spinoza, the whole goal of life is to move from being passive to being more active. And this is where it gets really cool. What is joy? For Spinoza, it's not just, a happy feeling. Joy is the actual experience of your power, your conatus, increasing. It's that feeling of becoming more capable, more powerful, more you. And sadness is just the flip side. When you feel sad or any negative emotion, that's a signal. It's the feeling of your power being drained away by something outside of you. It's the experience of becoming weaker, less capable, less yourself. Now check this out. He then builds on that to explain love and hate. Love is just joy that you happen to connect to an external cause. And hate? It's just sadness that you connect to an external cause. If you can understand that, he thought, you can actually dismantle negative emotions. If you hate someone, you're not just feeling something about them, you're experiencing a drop in your own power that you've pinned on them. If you can rationally figure out the real cause, you can break that link and set yourself free. I mean, that's basically the core idea behind something like cognitive behavioral therapy, way back in the 1600s. Okay, so what does this all add up to? How do these big ideas about God, politics, and our own feelings all click together? It all comes down to this. The more we understand the true causes of things, both out in the world and inside our own minds, the more we can stop being slaves to our passions and start acting with real freedom. We move from just reacting to acting. And since Spinoza believed God is the rational order of the universe, the more we understand that order, the more we participate in it, the more godlike we become. So even though he was cursed and hated in his own lifetime, his ideas just couldn't be silenced. He basically set the table for the entire Enlightenment. He created a whole new way to think about sacred texts. He changed how we think about ourselves and our place in the universe. It's no wonder the famous philosopher Hegel said, "You are either a Spinozist or not a philosopher at all. You just can't ignore him." Which leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? In a world that seems to run on emotional outrage, is Spinoza's call for calm, rational understanding the real key to being free? It's a question from 300 years ago that feels like it could have been written this morning.